Yo, what up, fellow disc golfers? Adam with High Action Disc Golf. Quick disclaimer, I promise you guys I'm going to get out there and play some more on the course here pretty soon. The weather here in Texas has been pretty bad. We've had constant rain the past 2 weeks, and as you can see, we've had a winter storm blow in that just kicked off today and is supposed to be here for a few days. But I promise as soon as all this blows over, I've got plenty of stuff in the works, disc reviews, course vlogs, challenges, you name it. So you guys be patient with me, and that'll be coming here pretty soon. Also, if you could, I'd appreciate it if you guys would hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel and helps out that YouTube algorithm. And also leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the content so far, and let me know if there's anything in particular that you guys would like to see from this channel. I'm open to suggestions and I'd really appreciate it. Today I've got something special for you guys. I've been playing for almost a year. I started in March 1st of last year, 2020. And I have my very first tournament coming up this Saturday, the Commerce Pride Open in Commerce, Texas. It's a B-tier event and I'm in the intermediate division. So I figure what better time to show you guys what I'm rocking and what I'm going to be throwing on that course that day, and I'll show you guys my in the bag. So without further ado, let's get into it and you guys can see what I'm slinging. So of course, you couldn't have an in the bag video without the bag. I'm rocking the Prodigy BP1 V3. I've used a couple of different bags since I started playing, and I have to say that the Prodigy BP1 V3 is the best bag on the market for the current price level. $100 for a premium bag. When I get a bag, I look for two things. I want storage space, because as you can see, I like to use a lot of discs. I like to throw a lot of different molds. Currently, I have 28 discs in this bag, and probably could fit at least another 10 more if I use the expandable side pockets. The second thing I care about is ease of access. I want to be able to grab whatever I need, whenever I need it, out there on the course as quickly as possible. And this bag covers both of those perfectly. The Prodigy BP1 V3, I could not suggest it more. So starting off, let's go with my putters. We'll go from slowest to highest. With my putting putters, if you guys have seen some of my recent videos, you'll recognize these. But if not, I'm rocking a pair of Discmania Geo Links. I was putting with Prodigy PA3s before this, and the moment I pulled this in my Simon Lizotte mystery box, I absolutely fell in love with it. It's got an amazing hand feel, a good amount of stiffness to it, and just absolutely incredible grip. And I've done a personal art project on both of these. You guys can check out my previous videos to see the time lapse on both of these. The Discmania Geo Link is my go-to putting putter right now. As far as the throwing putters, I've got two current putters that I throw. For my more understable or neutral flight, I've got a Discmania Active Sensei. This thing is beating in really nice. It's got a great grip in the hand. I'll tell you it's a little slick when you first get it, but throw it for a couple of days and this thing will get an absolutely incredible feel on it. So Discmania Active Sensei, this is my neutral to understable. And when I need a little bit more bite, but not a whole lot of distance, I've got a Glow 400 Prodigy PA3. This one's got a little bit of stability to it. I can pop it out there on a hyzer. It may flip up to flat, but it's always going to finish just a little bit over to the right for me. By the way, I am a lefty, so this will all be a left to right reference here. Moving on to my approach discs, I have 3 currently in the bag. My neutral flyer, I actually just added this. This is an Electron Axiom Envy. This thing is amazing. It's basically like throwing a slow buzz. Throw it out straight and flat, and it's going to hit that line true and barely fade for you at all. Hit that anhyzer, it's going to hold that ante with a very nice slow pan. Throw it on a little bit of hyzer, and it's going to hold that line, maybe turn just a little bit, but it's really a point and shoot approach disc, and I couldn't suggest one of these enough. Axiom Envy. When I need a little more stability, I'm currently rocking an Exo Hard Tactic. I was throwing some zones, and I really love the zone, but I got this in my Simon Lizotte mystery box, and I love the way this plastic feels. It feels really good for a forehand. I'm not a forehand dominant player, I'll tell you that. I am backhand dominant all the way. but I can use a forehand within about 150 to 175 feet for some approaches. And if I need that, I'm reaching for my Discmania Tactic for sure. Love this disc. And then when I really need some overstability and I don't have a whole lot of ground to cover, I am reaching for my Prodigy 500 A2. This thing is so overstable. Throw it out there on a backhand, throw it on a forehand, and it is just going to hold that line, not turn at all, and really dump hard either to the left for that forehand or to the right for that backhand. If I've got a headwind that I'm throwing into and I need to only get about 200 feet, this is the disc I'm reaching for. That's all of the putters and approach discs. Now let's move up to the mid-ranges. So currently I have 5 mid-ranges in my bag. I don't have a ton of mid-ranges, but each of these covers exactly the slot that I need. So we'll start with most understable and move to most stable. So first off, I've got a Primal Run Neo Origin. This thing flips so hard for me. Throw it out there on a nice hard hyzer. It's going to flip up to flat and turn over kind of late in the flight, or hit it with just a little hyzer or flat, and it's just going to dump really fast, almost to a roller angle if I put too much on it. This one's great for tailwinds when I don't have to cover a whole lot of distance, probably around 250. And otherwise, it's great for those tunnel shots that you need to turn over and head to the left. Especially for somebody who doesn't have a great forehand, this is an excellent disc for me to go to get those right to left movements. Moving up in stability, I've got a Fusion EMAC Truth. This thing is actually a lot flippier than you would anticipate normal EMAC Truths being. I've beat this in quite a bit, and when it got to me, it was honestly less stable than I anticipated. This is my hyzer flip disc. I'm going to slam this out on a little hyzer. It's going to flip up to flat and ride and turn just a little bit sometimes if I really give it some power. Excellent disc for in the woods for those tunnel shots that you need to carry just a little bit of distance for. After that, I'm going to move up to arguably the best disc that's ever been made, a Discraft ESP Buzz. This thing is a point and shoot disc all the way. Throw it flat and it's just going to ride that flat straight line with a tiny bit of fade at the end. Throw it out on a hyzer, it's going to hold that hyzer true. Anhyzer, it's going to hold that anhyzer and have a slow pan out at the very end of the flight. Never could suggest a Buzz more to anybody, especially for beginners. This disc is amazing. This is my 3rd one that I've had in the bag, and I will probably never have a bag without one unless I get sponsored one day. If I need just a little bit more bite, I am reaching for my C-Line Discmania MD3. This disc is perfect to hit it straight and just have a nice consistent fade over to the right, or throw it out there on a hyzer and get a little bit more bite than that Buzz. If I need just a tad bit more stability, I'm definitely reaching for my MD3. And then when I really need those overstable mid-ranges, I'm reaching for my ESP Discraft Malta. This thing is very overstable. Throw it out there flat. It's not going to turn over for me. It's going to hold that and dump really hard at the end of the flight, or throw it out on that hyzer and know that it's just going to hold that hyzer with a really, really strong finish. That's all the mid-ranges. That's going to be our short-range stuff. Now let's move up to my fairway drivers. So moving into the faster discs, we're going to go into the fairway drivers. I currently have 9 fairway drivers in my bag. The fairway driver is probably my favorite speed overall. You can get a lot of control and still cover a whole lot of distance. So starting with my most understable, this is the oldest disc in my bag. I'm rocking a Discraft Z Heat. This is my roller disc. I'm going to throw this out flat or with a touch of anhyzer, and just know that that overstability is going to pull this disc to the ground and give me a nice consistent roll and cover a whole lot of distance when I don't have an air shot that I can hit it with. Moving up a little bit, I'm rocking an S-Line FD. This is one of my personal stamps that I've done. This thing is amazing in the woods, just very straight. Throw it with a little hyzer, it's going to flip up to flat, turn just a little bit to the left, and just carry straight and true. Perfect for those tunnel shots that I need to cover a little more distance than that Truth or my Buzz. If I need to cover some distance in the woods and need to hit a gap, I'm reaching for my S-Line FD. Next up is probably my current favorite mold. This is a Neo Instinct from Discmania. I got this in my Simon Lizotte mystery box and immediately just fell in love with this. I love this Neo plastic, it feels really good. I can slam this disc out on some hyzer, it's going to flip up to flat, maybe turn just a tad bit, but I trust that it's going to have more fade at the end of it than my FD does. And I love it so much that I actually picked up a second one, a white one. I did a special spin dial on this one. This one's a little bit more stable. If I throw it out on a hyzer, it's going to flip up to flat and ride. It doesn't have a whole ton of turn on it like the yellow one unless I really crank down on it. But if I need something in the woods or out in the open with a little bit more bite to it than that FD, I'm reaching for one of these Neo Instincts for sure. If I need about the same stability but a little bit more distance, I'm going to be reaching for my ESP Discraft Undertaker. This thing is absolutely incredible. I love the way that ESP plastic feels on this disc. Throw it out on a hyzer, it's going to flip up, maybe turn just a tad bit with a nice consistent finish at the end, but I can cover just a little bit more ground than those Instincts. I'm usually reaching for this if I've got kind of a wide open shot and don't have to worry about hitting that gap, but trust that that disc is going to finish just a tad bit to the right, reaching for that Undertaker. If I need a little bit more stability than even that, I am reaching for my Biofusion Dynamic Disc Getaway. This disc is amazing. I've beat it in really good. It came out amazing for those hyzer flips. This is my hyzer flip fairway driver. Throw it out there on a hyzer, it's going to flip up to flat and just ride for days. It's amazing how much distance I can cover with this disc. I can almost hit distance driver level distances for my arm speed with this disc for a fairway driver. Biofusion Getaway. If I need just a little bit more bite than even that, I'm reaching for my Lucid Dynamic Discs Felon. This disc has a really good stability to it, but honestly is not as overstable as I anticipated it being. When I got it, it was a little warped, so I had to do the hot water trick to get that warp out of it, and I think it may have made it just a tad less stable. I don't know for sure, but I can slam this out on a hyzer, it'll flip up to flat, really push straight, very good, and then have a nice consistent fade at the end, really hard fade, harder than that Getaway. So if I need something to carry just a little, about the same distance, but with a little bit more finish over to the right, I'm going to be reaching for my Lucid Felon. And then when I need a fairway driver that I know is not going to turn over for me, it's my newest addition to the bag, which is a Discraft Big Z Raptor. This thing is so stable. Throw it out there on a hyzer, it's going to hold that hyzer, not really flip up at all unless I absolutely slam on it. Hold that hyzer and just dump out to the right really hard and really consistent, or throw it flat. This is also really good for those overstable flex shots. Throw it out there on a little anhyzer and trust that it's going to finish out and finish over to the right at the end of that flight. And then for my final fairway driver, of course, if I got the Simon Lizotte mystery box, I can't not bag the Discmania Tilt. This disc is in my bag for one reason and one reason only, and that's grenades. I don't use this disc for anything else other than a grenade shot. I can't throw it out there flat or anything, it just dumps so hard. But for someone who has trouble with the thumb style grenade grip because it doesn't feel too good, or can't really get the hand grip of the KJ style, I can't grip down hard enough on it, it winds up slipping out. This disc is perfect. Hold it on that nice hyzer angle and just send it up to the sky and trust that this is just going to come straight down. If I don't have a super good line, or if I'm going for a basket that's tucked around to the left, which is actually one of the holes that I'm going to be playing on my course coming up Saturday, this is the disc I'm reaching for. Beautiful wide open space and just slam it straight up. Discmania Tilt for sure. With all the fairway drivers done, let's move into the big bombers. Let's get into those distance drivers. So for distance drivers, I currently have 7 molds in the bag. Starting with the most understable, this is my tailwind disc. This is going to be a prototype ESP Hades. This disc is absolutely incredible, and I've covered some of the biggest distance that I've ever thrown with this disc. Slam it on a hyzer with that tailwind coming in, it's going to flip up to flat, turn over a little bit, and just ride for days. Even throwing it when there's not as much tailwind and I just really need like a nice late turn, but covering a whole lot of distance, throw this out on a hyzer, it's going to flip, turn late, maybe come out of the flight if you put enough height on it, but super understable, really reliable disc. If I need a little bit more stability than that, I'm reaching for my Neo Enigma. This disc actually is a lot flippier than I anticipated when it got to me, but I love that. I throw it with a little bit of hyzer, it's gonna flip, turn over to the left a little bit, and usually carry that left for pretty much most of the flight. And once it finishes at the end of the flight, it'll pan out and land flat, or maybe finish just a tad bit to the right if I give enough height on it. This is mostly my turnover disc if I need to cover a little bit extra ground. I'm reaching for my Neo Enigma. And if I need to cover about that same amount of ground and I need just a little bit more bite at the end of it, I'm reaching for my flex disc. This is my Fusion Raider. This thing, I've beat it in really, really good. I can hit it on a hyzer. It's gonna flip up, flip over to the right, and then have a little bit more bite at the end, at the very end of the flight, and give me that beautiful S-curve. If I need a lot of distance and I need it to finish just a little to the right, reaching for that Fusion Raider. Moving up to a tad bit more, we're going with my shield stamped S-Line DD3. This disc is amazing. Throw it on that hyzer, it's gonna flip up, it's gonna turn just a little bit if I really crank down on it, or it's just gonna flip up and ride straight. It's a good hyzer flip disc with a very consistent fade there at the end. This one I've got a whole bunch of distance out of with that hyzer flip, and I'm usually reaching on this when I need to cover probably around 350 to 375, pushing up to 400. If I need a little bit more stability or throwing into a light headwind, I'm gonna be reaching for my ESP prototype Zeus or Kong, whichever one you want to call it. It's a Kong. But this disc is absolutely amazing. I actually bought this off a buddy of mine, and it was beat in when I got it, and it still amazes me how stable this disc is, even using it as long as I have. I can slam it on a hyzer. It might flip up to flat, but usually doesn't. It'll flip a little bit, but just a nice consistent fade there at the end. If I've got a tad bit of headwind, a little breeze, I'm going to be reaching for this over my DD3 or anything else. And then one of the newer additions to my bag that's actually got probably about as much stability, but I can cover more distance with it, is the Ezra Aderhold Crystal Blend Nuke. This disc is incredible. I have a small hand, so I wasn't really sure how I'd feel about this because it's got such a huge rim, but it really fits in the hand really, really well. I throw this bad boy out on a hyzer and it's gonna flip up and just ride for forever. It's amazing how much distance I can cover with this, and honestly, right now, this is my bomber disc. This is the disc that I'm reaching to when I need absolute maximum distance and I don't need it to dump out and I need that stability. And for my big headwind disc, if I need to know that I've got something that I can trust in the headwind, I'm reaching for my Swirly S-Line PD2. This is, I believe, a Skyrider misprint. I absolutely love this disc. If I've got a little bit of headwind, I can throw it out there on a hyzer. It might flip up to flat, but I trust that this disc is not going to turn over for me, and it's going to have a nice consistent finish at the end. If I've got a headwind or need to have something finish over to the right with a good amount of stability, I'm reaching for this for sure. That's all the discs in my bag. Now let's get over here and I'm going to show you some of the other stuff that I carry with me to make sure that I'm ready for my tournament and ready for any time I hit the course. So I know that a lot of people usually like to see whatever else is in the bag, myself included, to be honest. So I'm going to show you what other things that I carry to make sure that I'm ready on the course at all times. So starting off, of course, I have an infinite discs retriever. I just recently got this, and this thing has saved me so many discs already. Not out of the water quite yet, but pulling them out of the trees, and honestly, from the fence that's right here, because I have a nice little lot that I can throw my discs on for approach practice, and I tend to throw it over. This thing extends up to 16 feet and has helped me not have to jump that fence so often. So that's really nice to have. Also, the number one thing that you should always have in a bag, and I've got two of them, is a water bottle. I've got two Dynamic Disc 32-ounce water bottles. This thing will keep my drink cold pretty much all day, or warm if I have something that I want to put in here that's a little warm for this winter months. I usually carry water with me. I try to stay hydrated on the course. Make sure that I have both of these full when I hit, especially once I hit this tournament and I know I'm going to play 2 full rounds. I'm going to have both of these filled up so I can stay nice and hydrated. Moving into the little side flaps here, over on this side, I've got my minis. So if the wind is up, I'm going to be using this one. I've got a metal infinite disc bomber mini. I like this one just if the wind is up and I don't have to worry about my mini blowing away. Otherwise, I'm rocking one of these two. I've got a Texas disc golf mini. I am prideful. I do love my state. I love being here in the great state of Texas, and I love repping that on a mini. And then my favorite mini, my absolute favorite band in the world, is Coheed and Cambria. So when I first started, I had to get a custom Coheed mini made. I love this. It's got the keyframe on it. All you children on the fence will recognize this. This is my go-to mini whenever I'm playing. This is my lucky mini for sure. Moving over into the other side flap, I have got a grip sack. I've tried the sports sacks with the moisture wicking beads. I don't really like it that much. It doesn't seem to help me so much, especially in the summer months. My hand gets super clammy. So I like to reach for something that's got some chalk. And so far the grip sack has been really good for me. It's got a good puff of chalk every time you hit it. It's beating in really well, so it really gets a lot of chalk on the hand. Helps me with that clamminess, helps me to grip those discs. Moving on to the large pockets here. These are big expandable pockets and they can hold absolutely a ton of storage. So moving over to this side, this is the stuff that I carry at all times. So what I've got here, I wear glasses, so I've got some glasses cleaner to make sure that my glasses are good. I've also got some pencils to make sure that I can keep score if I need to, and also some Sharpies. Mark up the disc if you need to, getting ready for the tournament, and also one day when I finally hit that elusive ace, hopefully somebody's around to sign my disc, because they say that if nobody's around it doesn't count, right? I've also got a towel. I am rocking a flight towel. This thing is great for warm-ups too, because it's got the disc-shaped nub here. You can grab onto this, and it's got a resistance pocket right here that really catches the wind and mimics a disc coming through when you're ripping on it. This is great for my warm-ups and, of course, to keep my disc dry. And then I've also got a scorecard, just a basic end of a scorecard, and a DD clipboard for it. I can tuck this in the front pocket here usually if I'm keeping score for a round. And then, of course, I have a bad tendency to forget to eat before I hit the course. So I make sure to carry a lot of snacks. Right now I'm liking crackers, fruit and multigrain bars, and some trail mix. But could never suggest having snacks enough. You always want to make sure that you're not playing hungry. When you're playing hungry, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have that brain fog, so always have some snacks. Moving over into this other pocket here. This is the pocket that I use for weather and certain situations depending on what's going on. So of course in the winter months I'm going to have winter stuff over here. So like I normally have my beanie, which right now I'm wearing it because it's super cold out here. I also have a face shield to keep my face warm and try to keep my lips from getting chapped, because they do get chapped pretty bad when it's particularly cold. I have a pair of mittens, which I probably should be wearing right now because my hands are freezing, but it's just easier to grab stuff without them. But I can't suggest mittens enough. I prefer mittens over gloves. Simon Lizotte had a good point one day in a video that when you're wearing a mitten, it keeps all your fingers together and helps to keep your fingers warm together and radiate that heat from each other instead of each individual one being covered. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know if it's true, but I like mittens over gloves. So I got a pair of mittens. And then for me, having poor circulation and having had carpal tunnel surgery a few years ago, this is super important to me to have some Hot Hands hand warmers. These things are amazing. Shake it up. This thing will last the entire round, the entire day, honestly, and keep that hand warm and keep it in my pocket. Or if it's super cold, I'll be stuffing a couple of these in my shoes and also stuffing a couple into my mittens to keep my hands nice and warm. And the last thing that I carry in my bag that I actually just got is a knee pad. I have a Drive mid-size knee pad, and this actually fits perfectly into my S-Line FD. And so I will slot this into my disc and then throw it down there under my knee. I like having a nice large space to put my knee down. This thing is amazing, and I can't wait to use this. Definitely on that Commerce course, it's very wooded, so I know for sure that I'm going to be reaching for this quite a bit when I get off the fairway and have to take a knee for my throws and for my putts. So that is everything in my bag, and that is everything that I'm going to be taking to my tournament this Saturday. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys like seeing what I've got. If you guys can suggest any other discs to me, please feel free to. I'm always down to throw some new plastic. This is Adam with High Action Disc Golf, and I'll catch you guys on the high road.